This is track 1 of the Yoga Practice CD, and this track will help you learn practices, movements, and breathing that can help relieve feelings of tension and stress and anxiety, and can help you learn to experience more relaxation and energizing and revitalize your body and mind. And throughout each track on this CD, I'm going to be combining breathing with different body movements. So while practicing each of these tracks, just following along as best you can, doing whatever you can do in the moment right now, and refraining from things that you seem to not be working for you and not be best for you while you're exploring as much as possible. And then just trusting your own sense of how long to hold the different postures and allowing that sensitivity to your own body and practice override any indications that I'm offering about how long to hold practices. So this will help you develop more awareness and sensitivity to yourself and learning to work at the limits of your own practice in each moment and experiencing but not going beyond and not forcing, but instead noticing where these limits are and going into deeper and deeper awareness and more precise knowledge of where your limits are and trying to experience them without going beyond. Actually, this is a yoga practice called ahimsa, which means non-harm. And in yoga, we want to practice this principle to ourselves and to others. So by practicing ahimsa or non-harm in this practice with this tape today, we're learning more about how to be loving and be gentle with our own practice and applying that principle to ourselves. And then we can take that out into the world in our day-to-day lives. So with regular practice, noticing that the limits are changing just by the virtue of the effort, the regular effort that we're putting into the practice itself, rather than forcing any particular movement in any posture. So throughout the practice, just noticing exactly what you're feeling in every part of your body throughout the postures, and noticing what you're feeling as precisely as possible will helping in developing greater awareness, and even asking yourselves questions such as, what am I feeling right now? And what's this feeling in my back, in my knee, in my shoulders and neck? And where exactly is this feeling, this sensation? And noticing what sort of qualities the sensation's having, and noticing if my mind is reacting or responding to something. If you wish to skip a posture or something we're doing, just assume a comfortable position and close your eyes, and trying to visualize in as much detail as possible what the tape is describing. So this will help in developing the sensitivity. And throughout the practice, just practicing with the eyes sometimes open and the eyes sometimes closing throughout, and experimenting with the levels of relaxation and concentration you can achieve with the eyes opened or closed. And finally, just working with the breath to expand the lung capacity as much as possible with your inhale. And then with the exhale, just allowing the tension to release from every part of the body as you exhale the breath. So noticing how with the inhale of the breath, you can experience more energizing feelings. And as you exhaling the breath, then just noticing how you can just let the body relax even more and even more with each exhale, letting the body relax from the tensions. So we're going to begin this first practice session by coming into a laying down position, and just laying down on your back and stretching each of your legs out, having the feet about hip distance apart and letting the little toes roll open towards the floor so that the hips are opening. And just letting the arms relax by the sides, about 4 to 6 inches away from the hips with the palms facing the ceiling, and then just letting the chest be open, having the shoulders underneath the chest and lengthening the neck and having the chin just slightly coming towards the chest as you lengthen the neck. And then just being in this posture, this relaxation posture. This is one of the best relaxation postures. And then just noticing the breathing. And just observing your breath as it enters into your body and expands through the whole body, energizing. And observing each exhale of your breath as you exhale the breath, allowing all the tensions to dissolve and release with the exhale of the breath. And just observing the breath, the body relaxing. And being aware of all the tensions coming out of the body. So from here we're going to begin to do some movements. So just letting your awareness come down to the bottoms of your feet and into your toes. And on your next exhale, just crunching just the toes, letting the feet be still and just crunching the toes down, and then inhaling the breath and lifting the toes back up and spreading the toes apart. And doing that a couple times, exhaling the breath and crunching the toes down. And then inhaling and spreading the toes apart. Then one more time, just crunching the toes. And this time as you crunch the toes, point the toes down, moving the ankles. And then inhaling the breath, releasing the toes, and flexing the feet back as you spread the toes apart. And then exhaling the breath, and turning the toes around and inhaling the breath, just moving the breath in and out as you slowly crank the ankles, crank the foot around the ankles, and switching directions if you haven't already done so, and just letting yourself explore that range of motion through the ankles. And now bringing your awareness into your hands, and same thing with the hands, exhaling the breath and making fists with the hand, crunching all the knuckles in on both sides and just making some fists, and then inhaling the breath and expanding all the fingers, stretching the hand open, and then again exhaling and crunching the hand, making fists and tightening the hand. And just developing sensitivity, inhaling the breath and opening the hand. And let's go ahead and make some circles around the wrists. You can experiment in exploring the circling around the wrists, moving the hand around and just being aware that you're continuing to breathe in a nice and relaxed way with the hands. Great. And so from here, let's inhale the breath and lift the arms up over the head, keeping the hands close to the floor or on the floor, lifting the hands all the way up over the head. And then exhaling the breath and lowering the hands back down to the sides. And from here, we're just going to roll over onto the belly. Just the whole body on the mat, and bending the elbows, bringing the palms underneath the shoulders, and then pushing up onto the knees so that the knees are bent, so you're on your hands and knees. And we're just going to turn the toes under And noticing the alignment of your body. And just attending to the posture for a moment and bringing the knees about hip distance apart so that the knees are right underneath your hips. And then seeing if adjusting the hands will help the posture by bringing the palms about shoulder distance apart and aligning right underneath the shoulders, and then rotating the elbows so that the inside of the elbows is facing forward. So we're going to just begin this next posture by inhaling the breath and letting the belly fall down towards the floor as you arch the back, looking the head up to the ceiling, letting the belly drop down. Release the pelvis as you look up to the ceiling and draw the shoulders away from the ears, and then exhaling the breath and rounding the back, lifting the upper back up to the ceiling and letting the chin drop to the chest as you exhale the breath. And switching, inhaling and letting the belly again drop towards the floor as you draw the shoulders away from the ears and look up to the ceiling. And then exhaling, again rounding the back, lifting the top of the back up towards the ceiling and pushing the palms down into the floor, drawing the chin to the chest, letting the head and neck relax. And then again, one more time, inhaling the breath, arching the back, looking up to the ceiling. And then exhaling the breath as you round, push the palms down into the floor and lift that upper back up to the ceiling, curling the pubic bone under. And letting that back round, and then releasing the posture. So from here, we're just going to bring the big toes together, let the big toes touch and open the knees up a little bit, and then sit the hips back into the heels so that you feel your buttocks on the heels and having the palms on the floor. And from here, we're just going to slowly start to walk the hands away from the knees, away from the body as the chest lowers down to the floor, but the whole time keeping the hips on the heels as much as you can. And noticing how this is feeling as you lower the chest down to the floor. And you might be able to let the forehead come down to the floor, just seeing if that's possible. And just being in this pose for a couple moments. Breathing, inhaling the breath in, and exhaling, letting the body relax in this posture. The forehead's on the floor, reaching the hands out. The elbows can be relaxing down on the floor. Sitting the hips back into the heels, letting the spine lengthen, letting the trunk relax, the ribs lengthen, and just breathing and relaxing. We're going to begin to come out of this pose by, again, pressing the hands into the floor and lifting the body up, coming back on the hands and knees, and then turning the toes under again so the balls of the feet are pressing down into the floor, pressing the palms down into the floor, and inhaling the breath, lifting the hips up to the ceiling, lifting the tailbone up to the ceiling, lowering the chest down to the floor. And it's this position, we're just going to let the arms and legs straighten as much as possible. Letting the arms and legs straighten. You can just see how the legs feel as you stretch the legs, as the legs lengthen and try to straighten. And you might see how far to the floor you can bring the heels. And just noticing and experiencing how this movement through the legs and hips is feeling. And then just bringing the awareness to the arms and lengthening the arms, pressing the palms of the hands down into the floor and just experiencing the hands pressing down into the floor, and each of your knuckles on the palms of your hands pressing down into the floor. And as you press the hands down, feeling the tailbone releasing and lifting up to the ceiling so the spine is lengthening. And then we're going to release this pose by lowering the knees back down to the floor, releasing the feet so that the tops of the feet are on the mat, and just again bringing the big toes together and bringing the palms to the mat, and then just slowly lowering the trunk down. The belly comes in between the thighs, and lowering the forehead down towards the floor. And you may be able to let the forehead come to the mat, letting the elbows relax down to the floor, and just feeling the neck, the shoulders relaxing. You may try just adjusting the forehead, letting the neck lengthen with the rest of the spine, and just seeing where the neck and head and shoulders feels most comfortable for you. And breathing and letting the exhale let the body relax, releasing any tension from the body. We're going to come back up into the same pose we just did. So let the body come up, coming up onto the hands and knees, and now turning the toes under. The feet are still about hip distance apart, and the balls of the feet are pressing down into the floor as we inhale the breath and lifting the hips up to the ceiling, letting the chest come down and allowing the chin to come towards the chest to lengthen through the spine. Allowing the legs and arms to lengthen and straighten, and experiencing this lengthening of the spine, and just exploring how much you're going into the pose and noticing where the limits are for you in each of these movements as you allow the heels to drop down towards the floor. Breathing in this pose and experiencing the inhalation, expanding the chest, and experiencing the exhale, just letting you allow to relax more in the pose. And then I'm going to begin to come out of the pose by letting the knees relax down to the floor, releasing the feet, letting the hips sit back into the heels, and then allowing the chest to come down in between the legs, walking the hands out and letting the forehead come down to the floor. And from here, just coming into a laying down position, so stretching your legs out behind you and letting the legs be straight out behind you. And allowing the forehead to come to the floor, if that's comfortable for you. And from here, just bringing the palms underneath the shoulders and a little bit away from the shoulders, and allowing the elbows to move back towards the hips, drawing the shoulders down towards the hips, and allowing the body to relax with the forehead on the mat or the floor. Allowing the feet to relax with the tops of the feet relaxing on the floor. And just allowing the whole body to relax. So the next movement, on your next inhale, trying to let the head lift up and the shoulders roll up off the floor as the shoulders move back towards the hips and the chest comes up off the mat, and allowing the palms to continue to be on the floor. You lift the body up and just exploring how far up you can lift the head. And then we're going to become out of the pose by exhaling the breath and just observing each vertebrae as you allow one vertebrae at a time to lower back down to the floor, and then just allowing the head to come back down to the mat. And releasing the hands to either side of the hips with the palms facing the ceiling, and then just turning one cheek to the side and allowing the shoulders to relax and the whole body to relax, and then just breathing in this posture here, relaxing. And now if you'd like to try again, we're going to just go through again if you'd like, just rolling the forehead onto the mat and bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, a little bit away from the shoulders. And if you're going to try again, we're going to just begin inhaling the breath, lifting the head up, lifting the shoulders up. Now you can feel the palms pressing down into the floor a little bit, but drawing the shoulders back as you lift the chest up. And just allowing the head to look up to the ceiling as much as is comfortable for your neck. Again, just exploring the limits. You can either hold the breath in this pose for a count of 8, or you can just practice some diaphragm breathing. And now coming out of the pose, just allowing the spine to release one vertebrae at a time as you lower back down to the floor, and this time turn the cheek to the opposite side you had last time and release the hands and the arms and bring the hands to face the ceiling as you let the shoulders relax, and then just allowing the whole body to relax. So you can allow the heels to fall towards the outside. This helps the low back relax. And then from here, we're just going to roll over onto the back now. Just still be laying on the floor, but just rolling over onto the back. And on your next inhale, just drawing the knees up to the chest, bending the knees up to the chest, and hugging the knees into the chest. And just breathing as you just let your body roll from the right to the left a little bit as you hug your knees into the chest and just kind of massaging that low back. And then we're going to start to come into the twist. If you'd like to try a twist, we're going to begin just by straightening the left leg, feeling that left leg straightening out and continuing to hug that right knee up into the chest. And then on your next exhale, we're just going to allow the right knee to move towards the left side, dropping the right knee over towards the left side, at the same time twisting the upper body to the right so that the shoulders remain pressing down into the floor as you twist the upper body to the right. And then just having the hands out to the sides, both hands at about the shoulder distance. And then twisting the head. So we're just going to roll the neck gently, carefully, looking to the right side, looking at the right hand as the lower body is twisting towards the left. You may like to use your left hand to place it on the right knee and just allow the hand to gently guide the knee down towards the floor more as you bend through the hip. So the hip will actually lift up off the floor as you're rolling into the twist. So now you're just twisted in both directions and just allow the low back to relax, breathing evenly and relaxed in this pose. And coming out whenever you need to come out, but if you're going to remain in the pose, then just going more into the twisting and experiencing where these limits are in your twisting and just exploring a little bit. And now let's inhale the breath and begin to roll back onto the back, coming out of the twist, slowly experiencing this feeling of coming out of the twist and the reverse of how we came into it. And then bending both the knees up to the chest once again, and just rolling from the right to the left and feeling the back. And now, twisting on the other side, we'll just start by extending the right leg out and bending that left knee up to the chest and hugging the left knee into the chest, letting the body relax. And now if you're going to try this twist, we're just going to allow the left knee to roll down to the right side. And this time the left hip will come up off the floor as you twist around the right side of the body, keeping the shoulders pressing down into the floor. And then actually twisting to the left this time to the upper body and extending both arms out to the sides with the hands about the shoulder height. And then when you're ready, you can just look your head to the left hand. And as you rotate the head, you can trying to experience the whole spine actually twisting to the left as you look the head to the left. Now we're just going to relax in this twisting pose, observing how you're experiencing this pose, remembering that you can come out of the pose if that feels right for you right now, or just trying to be in the pose for a little bit longer, experiencing these limits of these twists in the hips, and then just breathing and relaxing. And now let's begin to come out, unwinding through the twist and allowing the left knee to come back up to the chest. And now bending the right knee also so that both knees are up on the chest, and you're just using the hands to hug the knees into the chest, letting the neck relax. So letting the shoulders and neck relax. Letting the back of the neck lengthen as you let the chin come towards the chest so that the whole upper body is relaxing. You're just using the lower abdominal area to bring the knees up into the chest. So from here, we're just going to roll over onto the front again into the pose where the knees are bent and the big toes are together and the forehead is coming to the floor, extending the hands away from the body, allowing the elbows to be dropping down to the floor, and then just experimenting with the head. So we're in this nice pose with the hips sitting back into the heels, the buttocks as close to the heels as you can, just experimenting how deeply the knees are bending and you're sitting the hips are folding into that crease. I'm just going to be here for a moment. And from here, just lengthening the arms so the elbows might come up off the floor. And on your next inhale, just lift the hands and arms up off the floor, lifting the trunk off the floor at the same time, the hands, and coming up to a sitting position. The arms over the head, and then exhaling the breath and lowering the hands down to the sides. And then bringing the palms of the hands to the thighs, bringing the knees together, just bringing the knees together as close together as they can and letting your hips sit back. So now we're in a sitting position. And if this is comfortable for you, we're just going to try to be remaining in this pose for a few breaths. And if you need to come out of the pose, just come to a comfortable pose and just visualize yourself in this pose. Sometimes the ankles are a little bit tight and this pose is a little bit difficult, but if it's comfortable to try to remain in this pose, you can just let the palms be on the thighs and try allowing the eyes to close and just paying attention to the inhalation of the breath and the exhalation of the breath. Allowing the spine to lengthen in this sitting pose, Lengthen all the way up through the neck and the top of the head. Allowing the chest to be open. And just noticing the breath. And now we're just going to try coming out of this pose and just allowing the buttocks to come to the floor and straightening both legs out in front of you so that we're just in a sitting position and the legs are extended straight out in front of you. And let's try just bending the right knee, just bending that right knee. So you can use your right hand to bring it under the right ankle and just bringing the knee as much bent as is comfortable for your knee. So without forcing anything, you can just try allowing the bottom of the right foot to be touching the inside of the left leg and just hugging that heel up as close to the body as is comfortable for you. Kind of let the foot roll a little bit so you're on the top of the foot and just adjusting the foot so the ankle's comfortable. And allowing the knee to drop down towards the floor so that the hip is opening up a little bit. You can also tuck a blanket or a towel underneath the knee, especially if it's a little bit higher than the hip. That can help. And then from here, we're just sitting up nice and straight. We're going to practice inhaling the breath and lifting the arms up over the head and lengthening the sides, keeping the shoulders in the sockets as we reach the fingers up. And then exhaling the breath and bending forward through the hips, trying to keep the chest as open as possible as you just allow the trunk to come down, allowing the hands to come down, and just allowing the hands to be somewhere on the leg. Just breathing normally as you're in this pose here. Allowing the hands to be maybe either on the knee and the trunk's kind of high up, or if you're a little bit lower, the hands might extend out to the shin, maybe the ankle. If you're a little bit more flexible, the hands you can reach around to grasp the bottom of the foot, lacing the fingers together if you're very flexible. But just working with your own body and the sensations of your body, experiencing what this pose has to offer you. And just letting your awareness go deeply into exactly what you're experiencing in this pose. If you feel any sort of pain, you can always just come up and back out of the pose a little bit and just allowing your body to feel comfortable. So just adjusting by backing out a little bit if you need to. And then we're just going to come out of the pose by inhaling the breath and lifting the arms up over the head. And then exhaling the breath and lowering the hands down to the sides. And then we're going to switch legs. So straightening the right leg out. And then we're just going to bend the left knee. So just using your hand to help bend that left knee. Bringing the left hand underneath the left ankle and bringing that heel up as close to the body as you can. And the bottom of the left foot can be touching the thigh, inside edge of the right thigh, and just tucking that heel in and straightening the right leg out, allowing the left knee to drop down towards the floor, and then just letting the back be as flat as possible, straightening through the spine, but also allowing the belly to be relaxed. So noticing if the body's gripping or tensing anywhere, and just allowing more relaxation to come to the body. And we'll do the same pose, inhaling the breath and lifting the hands up over the head, lengthening through the sides, allowing the chest to open, and then bending through the hips as you exhale the breath and allowing the body to just release down towards the knee, with the forehead coming down towards the knee. And the hands again somewhere on the leg. They might be on the shin or the bottom of the foot, but when we're doing these forward bending poses, just allowing the body to relax into the gravity. So awareness of the breath really helps. You can just imagine that with each exhale, you're just letting the body relax a little bit more into the gravity. So just gaining sensitivity to the breath and how the body can relax a little bit with each exhale. And now coming out of the pose, inhaling the breath, lifting the hands again back up over the head. And exhaling the breath, releasing the arms down to the sides. And again, straightening that left leg out in front. So we're going to keep both legs straight for this next pose. If you'd like to try this forward bending pose, we're just going to inhale the breath, lifting the arms up over the head. And if you have a back condition, you might not want to do this pose. Instead, you can just come into a comfortable, relaxing pose. But if you're feeling like trying it, then you can inhale the breath, lifting the hands up over the head, and then exhaling, lowering the chest down, and letting the hands be somewhere on the legs or the ankles or the feet, letting the forehead come down, but the top of the head is reaching out towards the toes. So extending the spine, and then just being in this pose for a few breaths, as long as is comfortable for you to explore in this pose, exploring the feelings and sensations and being mindful of how the spine is lengthening and the legs are trying to be straight as much as possible. Taking a few breaths here. And now let's come out of the breath. Inhaling, lifting the hands up over the head, lifting the trunk up, and exhaling, lowering the hands to the sides. And from here, let's bend both knees and bringing the opposite foot under the opposite leg. So the knees are bent and the right foot is underneath the left thigh, and the left foot is underneath the right thigh. And the buttocks are just sitting nicely on the floor. You're kind of balanced on your buttocks and the body is lengthened. You're just sitting nicely. Bringing the hands behind the back and just trying to allow the right hand to grasp the left wrist if that feels comfortable to you. This last posture we're going to do, we're just going to begin by inhaling the breath, letting the spine lengthen, and then exhaling the breath, allowing the chest to come forward. It's another forward bending pose, letting the torso come down in between the knees and allowing the chin to come to the chest and the head and neck to relax down. And we're just going to be here for a few breaths. So if it's comfortable for you to be here, just trying to allow the body to relax, especially through the head and the neck, and relaxing the shoulders. Allowing the knees and the hips to relax. Allowing the belly and the abdominal area to relax. Again, just letting the body relax into the gravity with your exhale. Exhaling and just releasing into the breath, into the gravity. If you can come out when you're ready to come out, but just trying to hold the pose for just another couple moments and breaths. And whenever you're ready, we're just going to begin coming out by inhaling the breath and letting the back be flat as you come back up to the sitting position, letting the head be in the neutral position and exhaling the breath, and releasing the hands from behind the back. And we're going to come down into our final position, just laying down on the back as we did in the beginning of the practice, just laying on your back and allowing the feet to be about hip distance apart, with the legs straight, and allowing the legs to roll out so the little toes are coming towards the floor. You might want to use your hands to help the fleshy part of the buttocks move towards the heels to allow the sacrum or the bottom of the spine, the base of the spine, to just be relaxing down onto the floor. So just adjusting the hips a little bit. And then just allowing the arms to be straight and the palms to be facing the ceiling. And you can just draw those shoulders underneath the chest, allowing the chest to be open. And the back of the neck is lengthened. You might find the chin tucking a little bit into the chest, not really tucking, but the back of the neck just lengthening. And now allowing the whole body to just relax. You can feel your toes and your feet relaxing. And bringing the awareness into your legs and allowing the legs to be heavy, sinking down into the floor. And allowing the lower body, the lower back, in the lower abdominal area to just relax, all the organs and the muscle in your torso relaxing. Allowing the middle and upper back to relax, and the whole front of your body to relax. And just feeling your shoulders and neck relaxing. And bringing your awareness out into the hands and allowing the hands and wrists to relax. Your fingers might curl up a little bit, and just let the hands and fingers relax completely. The arms are heavy. And again, bringing the awareness to the shoulders and the neck, relaxing. And finally, bringing your awareness to your face, letting the head relax and every muscle of your face relax. So the chin and the jaw relax and the cheeks relax. Allowing your temples and forehead to relax. And your eyelids and the eyebrows to relax. And then just expanding your awareness through the whole face. Continue expanding your awareness into your body, down your torso and out through the arms, into the fingertips, and just expanding your awareness down through the legs, out through the feet and toes, and just letting the whole body feel like one entity, just one connected unit of relaxation. Paying attention to the inhaling of the breath and the exhaling, releasing any remaining tensions or stresses. Just keeping the awareness with the inhale and the exhale. And just trying to stay awake for the next couple moments, but also just letting the body relax, letting the mind relax. Just for the next couple moments, noticing the breathing. Now beginning to come out of the pose by moving the toes and the fingers a little bit and just exploring your movement. You can just try experimenting a little bit and moving your body however you like, and just moving a little bit and gently rocking the body. You might want to bring the knees up to the chest again and roll in the back a little bit. And then just try rolling to the side and come up to a sitting position. And as we come to the end of the session, let's try bringing the palms together in front of the chest and just feel the whole surface area of the palms lightly pressing together as you allow the thumbs to come into the heart area and touching the chest and just letting that heart lift up a little bit with the hands. The spine lengthening, the elbows dropping down, and the body just feeling relaxed as the spine's lengthened. Taking a few more breaths and just allowing that intuitive connection deep within yourself. And then just experiencing that deep connection with your own depth of yourself, knowing who you are, and carrying that awareness and knowledge off the mat with you as you leave your practice today, and as the day unfolds moment to moment, continuing to be aware of this sense of your